How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Today I wanted to talk just a little bit off topic here. I got a comment on YouTube and this guy, I can't pronounce your name, I think it's Slovakian, but I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. I think I'm going to do it a disservice. But the guy says, I hear you speaking about quitting smoking in a few of your videos. Can you take the time and make a video about you quit smoking? So this is my video. I think for me, quitting smoking was one of the hardest things that I've ever done. It was just, I started smoking when I had my first cigarette when I was 7, I think, 7 or 8 years of age. I think we stole a couple of my mother's cigarettes, and myself and a mate, and we went around the back of the houses where we used to live in Halifax in Yorkshire, and snuck around into some waste ground, and I can still see myself there. I can taste that first taste of the smoke going into my mouth. I can smell the tobacco as it smelled then, and that was for me it was like a big adventure. It was part of the devilment of being a young kid and stuff. I don't think I ever, it wasn't until I was in Ireland when I was 13, maybe 14, that I started to smoke properly. I can remember exactly where I was as well when I first inhaled cigarette smoke for the first time, and it just made me cough to the amusement of everyone else that was around me. But from then on, I was really addicted to smoking. We used to buy cigarettes in the local shop. The old lady used to sell us these cigarettes, separate cigarettes, we used to call them in Ireland. So individual cigarettes for whatever they were at the time, a penny or tuppence or whatever they were. But obviously if she hadn't done that, then we would have found it a lot harder to get our hands on cigarettes. And I basically smoked same thing for maybe 30 years. I stopped smoking for good in a year before I quit. No, 2 years. 2 years before I quit drinking. So I was off the smoking for a couple of years here before I quit. I had quit the year I quit drinking for a year. This was after I got stopped for drinking and driving. I quit smoking as well, so there was no cigarettes, no alcohol, and as soon as I started drinking again, I sort of kid myself, I know I can handle this now, so I'll drink when I smoke and I'll smoke when I drink, and those two just fed off each other. You tend to drink more because you want to smoke, and you smoke because you're drinking. So it didn't take me long. It took me a year to quit then, but all throughout my smoking life, I didn't have the same relationship with cigarettes as I have with alcohol. I never thought alcohol was doing me much harm. Alcohol was just a part of my culture, and I presume that that's the way my father used to think about smoking. He used to smoke 60 a day back in the day when he did smoke, and I presume that he thought, as the world did, you can look at the old advertisements and you see people with going down to their doctors. When I was a kid, I remember my doctor smoking, my family doctor smoking, in the consultation room with us, the ashtray beside him on the desk. But the old advertisements for cigarette smoking, they're going down through the generations, and everything was normal. The same thing as what we think alcohol is now, But for me growing up, it was always something that I didn't want to do, It was always, my dad was always at me, my mum was at me to stop smoking, that it wasn't going to do me any good. And, you could see it around you that, it was a big decline, In the world now, actually, smoking is on the increase worldwide, because cigarette companies, although it's on the decrease in the West, it's on the increase in poorer countries because they don't have the same legal protection that we do. They don't have laws which are sort of saying you can't advertise here, you can't advertise there. We've got laws now where you can't advertise anywhere near a school. In some poorer countries, I presume that you can advertise right outside the school, I watched a program a few months ago about smoking in, I think it was Singapore or Thailand or one of these countries, poorer countries. And there was children as young as 6, 7 who were addicted to smoking cigarettes, you know, and no laws there to protect them. You know, they could buy cigarettes whenever they wanted. But getting back to my own cigarette problem, I tried to quit drinking. It must have been tried to quit smoking. So used to talking about drinking, it's difficult to shift my mind. I tried to quit smoking a number of times, so you know, at least 100 times. Sometimes for a day, sometimes for a couple of days, a week. I think before I stopped for sort of 10 months, that was the longest I'd ever done. And now, yeah, it's a long time now. It's probably 7 years or something like that. I think 6 or 7 years. And yeah, even though I like the smell of the stuff, I don't really. There's no chance that I'd ever smoke again. The same thing as alcohol. I tried to use patches. I stuck a patch on myself and I felt sick with it. I couldn't do that. I took some pills at one stage that I got from the doctor, which worked, and apparently these were used for the first time in the Gulf War to help returning soldiers overcome their depression. I don't know if it worked with the depression, but one of the side effects of this particular tablet was that it stopped them from smoking. So, you know, obviously they gave it out for that, you know. I hate taking stuff like that, and I've never taken stuff like that. But, you know, obviously at this stage, with all the attempts that I tried, I was willing to try anything, you know, even putting some stupid pill in that, you know, nobody knows the side effects of these things, you know, short term or long term. So, but eventually when I stopped, it was pure just cold turkey, exactly the same way as I stopped drinking. It was a shift in mindset. You know, my son was smoking, and I think that was probably one of the biggest reasons which sort of made me want to quit long term. You know, it goes back to the old saying from Viktor Frankl. This guy was a psychologist who was locked up in the Nazi concentration camps, and he said that if you give a man enough of a reason why, he will find any how, you know. So if you give a man enough reason, give a person enough of a reason to do something, then they'll find any way of doing it, you know, that they'll do it, you know. It's not a question of willpower. It's not a question of I can't do it today or I can't do it tomorrow, or there's these pressures or excuses. Once a person's got the motivation to do it, that's it. You know, you'll do it regardless of what your mind is telling you, in the opposite way. So it's exactly the same way with alcohol. You've got to find that motivation. If your motivation to drink or your motivation to smoke is stronger than your motivation to quit, then, you know, who's going to win? No matter what you say to yourself, and no matter the short-term motivation that you get from, you know, geeing yourself up or anything like that, if you don't have the long-term motivation to do this, then you're not going to do it, because you'll find excuses for going back to what you really want to do. So if you're having trouble, if you're struggling with this, whatever it is in life that you're trying to stop doing, look for the motivation first. Look for the reason why you're doing it, you know. And sometimes it's inside yourself. More often than not, it's something outside of yourself that you're trying to achieve, you know. For me, it was my son, you know. And a lot of people do this because of their children. A lot of people can't do it because they've got no children, but you have to find something else, you know. You've got to find that motivation. It can be your health, it can be your career, it can be, you know, your spiritual life. There's many different areas that are going to motivate some people that won't motivate other people. So you have to find yours, you know, and try and find yours. And as I say, you know, quitting smoking was much more difficult for me down through the years. But whether that's now, I think about this in those terms because I tried to quit smoking so many times, or because, you know, that's what I think it was anyway. Quitting smoking was much more difficult for me to achieve. And I think that's partially because I tried to quit smoking so many times, and I perceive it as being a lot more difficult. Because at the end of the day, I think in the first few days I felt more cravings. I felt more of a physical loss, right? This physical interior craving that I felt, much more of that quitting cigarettes than I did quitting booze. You know, I can't say that. The booze for me was a lot more psychological, you know. It was a lot more about the outside world and what I was missing by not drinking, you know. So that's it. That's my journey with stopping, quitting smoking. I'm off them 6 years. I can walk into a room now and I still like the smell of cigarette smoke. When it's coming off the cigarette, when it comes off a person, I can't stand it. When it comes off an ashtray, no. But that's cigarette smoke, even the smell of tobacco, I still like that. But there's not a hope in hell's chance that I'm going to put that into my body anymore, you know. It's the same as I like the smell of a rose, but I'm not going to eat the fucking thing, you know. So that's it for now. If you've got any comments or questions, leave them down below. Give us a thumbs up, share. Come on over to the website if you haven't done so already. Sign up for the newsletter. It's absolutely free. There's a video going out every single day, so you can sign up for that and you'll get a video into your inbox. And until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Stay safe, keep the alcohol out of your mouth, onwards and upwards.